Bismillah. So what we do this lesson is we will go through last lesson again. This time we will use the PDFs. However, since we're going over this or these concepts again, it should be easier for everyone. Have you all revised what we took last week? Yes? Okay, inshallah. So even if you haven't, or even if you missed last week's lesson, inshallah it'll be easier than last week. So what we'll go through firstly is the categories of the verbs. We have fi'l al-madi, and fi'l al-madi splits into the 3-letter, 4-letter, 5 and the 6-letter scales. And then those should be conjugated for each one. So 3 letters, we have 3, fa'ala, fa'ila, fa'ula, those should be conjugated. And then for the 4, 5 and 6, they should all be conjugated. And you should also know how to negate the verbs. How do we negate the past letter verbs? We use ma. Can you give an example? Any example? Anyone? Ma? No. عندي is not a verb. ما ذهبت إلى الدكان. Meaning, ما ذهبت, I did not go to the shop. ما ذهبت إلى الدكان. ما جلست في المسجد. I did not sit in the masjid. So we use ma as a negation for the verbs. However, ma comes with other meanings. However, in this case, this ma is for a negation. And you should also know how to use them with the questioning particles. How many did we take? We took 2. They were? Hal and the hamza. And examples? No, not inda. Inda. Inda is not a verb. Hal? Hal akaltu, did I eat? Naam. Hal akalta, did you eat? Hal akaltum, did you all eat? Or I might ask during the lesson, Hal fahimtum? What does that mean? Did you understand? Oh, yeah. Do you understand? Yes. Or have you understood? Now, so in the next slide. So we'll go through the book. What we'll do is we'll go through the book and then I'll explain what the author is saying. أوزان الفعل المضارع, the scales of the مضارع وتصريفه, and his explanation. So he says القاعدة العامة. What we're going to take is a principle that will be for all of them. في مضارع, in the present جميع الأوزان, all of these scales. الثلاثي, the 3, الرباعي, the 4, الخماسي والسداسي, the 5 and 6. So some principles they will share and some will be for a specific scale. The first one, أولا يؤخذ المضارع من الماضي. We will take the present from the past بزيادة, with an increase of what? A harf. What is a harf? A letter. بزيادة a harf. We will increase with a harf. من أحرف المضارع الأربعة, from the 4 letters that are used for the present tense. They are ya, ta, hamza and nun. And you can combine them in the statement أنيت. You just memorize أنيت. And تسمى, they are called أحرف المضارعة. They are called أحرف المضارعة. أحرف meaning letters. That's the first principle. All of them will take a letter from the ya, the ta, the hamza and the nun. They will attach to the beginning of that verb. الثانية, the second point, تكون أحرف المضارعة. So this ya, ta, hamza or nun will be مفتوحة في ثلاثي والخماسي والسداسي. So in the 3, 5 and 6 letter scales, we were not going to do the 5 or the 6 today, but for the 3 letter, we will have a fatha on that harf al-mudari'. For example, alima, that is a past tense. Its present tense is ya'lamu. Now if you look at the ya, at the beginning of ya'lamu, it takes a fatha. Alima, he knew. Ya'lamu, he knows. Ta'allama, tafa'ala, its present tense is yatafa'alu. Then we have yata'allamu. So that ya at the beginning of yata'allamu takes a fatha. Ista'lamu, yasta'limu. Here yasta'limu will take a fatha. That is the second. The third is specifically for the 4-letter scales. تكون أحرف المضارع مضمومة في الرباع فقط. It will be, or it will take a dhamma only in the 4-letter scales. علم يعلم. See, يعلم. It's not يعلم. It's يعلم. Is that understood? So this is like a revision.
Next to alim, right?
Which one? The last line.
Yeah.
Now, علم in the brackets. علم يعلم. Okay. So in the next slide, we'll talk about anate. Anate made up of hamza, noon, ya, wa ta. So I mentioned you'll take the root letters, then you'll add the appropriate present tense letter to form your present tense. Okay? So, for example, if we have ذهب, ذهب, is it going to take a fatha or a dhamma if I was to bring the anate? Yes. Is ذهب going to take a fatha, that yad that I'm going to bring, is it going to take a fatha or a dhamma? A dhamma. Fatha. Is it fatha? It's going to take a fatha. Why is it taking a fatha? Is it? The reason why it will take a fatha is because it is a 3-letter verb. It's a 3-letter verb. Now, as you go or as you practice more, you'll know which of the 4 to use. For example, the hamza is used for ana. It's not a pronoun, but it's used for ana. So if I want to say I'm going, I'll get my ذهب, attach the hamza, even though it's on the scale af'alu, I will know with that it means ana, adhabu. If I was to say jalasa yajlisu, you have the verb yajlisu, how do I make it for ana? Ajlisu. Okay? And then the author mentioned what I mentioned earlier, that the 3-letter, 5 and 6 letters will take a fatha, and if it's on the 4-letter, it will take a dhamma. All I did was just translate in the next slide. Now, one of the reasons why the 4-letter scale is separate from the others in terms of what the haraka it will take, harf al-mudari'. Here we have yakhruju, yakhruju. What's the past tense of yakhruju? Kharaja, kharaja, he left, he exited. Yakhruju, he is leaving. He is leaving. Now we have another scale, af'ala yuf'ilu, akhraja yukhriju. These 3, the root letters are the same, however, there's a difference in meaning. Kharaja, he left. Akhraja means, do you guys remember? No. No. Kharaja, he left, is a 3-letter. Akhraja is a 4-letter. We took this, I think, maybe someone on Zoom will know. What is the meaning of akhraja? The root letters are there. Kharaja, yes. To make someone or something leave, or you take something out. You're taking something out. Okay? You're taking something out. So, the present tense, yakhruju, yakhruju on the scale, yaf'ulu. Then you have af'ala, its present tense is yuf'ilu. Now, if you were to look at the 2 examples I've given you here, without the harakat, it is possible for a person to mix them up, sah? That is why, or one of the reasons why, one might take a fatha and the other will take a dhamma. They have different meanings. Yakhruju means he left, yukhriju, he took something out.
I don't understand how comes it's jalasa with a fatha, and then it comes ajlisu with a kasra.
Ajlisu, because one is the madi, one's mudari', one's a present tense. Ajlisu is a present tense. Jalasa is a past.
So the verb skill
Fa'ala
have a kasra on the second to last letter.
Which one?
For example, jalasa and
Ajlisu, yeah.
So on the second last letter, there's always a kasra.
No, there's 3, remember. Yaf'alu, yaf'ilu, yaf'ulu.
And we just have to memorize which.
Yeah, you have to memorize. 3 letters you have to memorize. Either check the dictionary or memorize. Here, the author, he gives us the present tense. And I mentioned the 4, 5, and 6 letters, as they all have one present tense, you don't have to really ask. You don't really have to ask, as you'll know automatically what the present tense is. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. The author mentions أوزان المضارع الثلاثي, the scales for the 3 letters. This is the part where we were confused. So in the next slide, I'll try and make it a bit easier. Here he says فعل القاعدة, ففعل الماضي بفتح العين يأتي مضارعه على 3 أوزان. The past tense with the fatha on the ain, that's فعل. With a fatha on the ain, that is فعل. It will come in 3 present tense forms. Or the present tense will come in 3. It will come with a fatha on the ain, a dhamma on the ain, and a kasra on the ain. The dhamma in ain, or fathi, or kasri. And then fa'ila, with a kasra on the ain, it will come with 2 present tense forms. That is with a fatha on the ain or kasra on the ain. Yaf'alu, yaf'ilu. And the last one, fa'ula, with a dhamma on the ain, for the past tense. Its present tense will come with a dhamma on the ain. Yaf'ulu, with dhamma al-ain. Okay, and then after the author, he'll mention examples for all of them. But before we mention them, we'll go to the next slide. Here it's a little bit simpler, as I mentioned. I'll just read through it. I said if our past tense scale is on the scale fa'ala, it will have one of 3 present tense scales. If the scale was on fa'ala, fatha on the ain, it will have one of 3 present tense scales. Yaf'alu, yaf'ilu, yaf'ulu. Pay attention to the ain. The ain has a fatha in the first, it's got a kasra in the second, a dhamma in the third. So fa'ala has 3. If our past tense is on the scale fa'ila with a kasra on the ain, the present tense will be either on yaf'alu, yaf'ilu. And if our past tense is on the scale fa'ula with a dhamma on the ain, it will only have one present tense scale, that is yaf'ulu. And I mentioned at the end, our present tense, the only way to know them is either you are told or you have to read or check the dictionary. Go on.
Does it apply to all of innate, the ya at the start, so it will be...
Yeah. The innate is a must in order for it to be present tense. Without innate, there's no present tense. Because if there's no innate, we drop that ya. What's the difference between fa'ala and yaf'alu without the ya? Yeah.
What is the difference between yaf'alu and yaf'ilu?
There's no difference other than they're 2 separate scales that the scholars use. These are one of 3 scales that the scholars are using. So fa'ala has 3, fa'ila has 2, fa'ula has 1. Now if you were to go back to the other page 22 in the book. So here, if you look at number 1, he has fa'ala yaf'ulu, because fa'ala has one of 3. So you have nasara, yansuru, nasara to help, yansuru, he's helping. Atasha ya'tushu, to sneeze. Kharaja yashkuru, kharaja yakhruju. Kharaja, to leave, yakhruju, he's leaving. Shakara, to thank, yashkuru, he's thanking. That is for fa'ala yaf'ulu. Then fa'ala comes again with another present tense, or fatha on the ain. Fa'ala yaf'alu. So fataha, what does fataha mean? To open. Memorize its present tense. Yaftahu, he's opening. Dhahaba, to go. Yadhabu, he's going. Rafa'a, to raise. Yarfa'u, the present. Sa'ala yas'alu, that's a good one to memorize. Sa'ala yas'alu, to ask. Sa'ala, he asked. Yas'alu, he's asking. And then the last one for fa'ala, it is yaf'ilu. That's 3. Fa'ala has 3. Then you go to number 4, we have fa'ila, yaf'alu, فرح يفرح, to be happy. Then number 5, فعل comes again, but this time with a kasr on the ain, يفعل. And then the last one, فعل يفعل, only has one. So is this page simpler, or do you understand this page now? So take out a few verbs from here and memorize them. However, on the end of the lesson, I'll give you some verbs to memorize actually. If there's any questions for this, let me know.
So the present tense, it will only take that one form, right? It won't, so
What?
it wouldn't be yansuru.
No. That present tense, the present tense will only, the past tense will have only one present tense. For example, ذهب will always be يذهب. يذهب. It will always be on the scale يفعل. It won't go to another scale. However, you might find the same root letters in another scale that is outside the 3. For example, the one that we always use, خرج, can go to أخرج. Yeah, أخرج يخرج. With a different meaning here. The أخرج is different to خرج, but the meaning the meaning is the same, but the exact meaning is different, if that makes sense. فخرج, he left. أخرج, he made something leave. You understand what I mean here? Okay.
Can you give an example?
What does? For? A sentence. سأخرج الرجل. I'll take out the man من المسجد. From the masjid. So you're literally taking something out. You're not leaving, you're taking something out of the masjid, the house, or whatever. Okay, so let's move on to the slide with the scale, تصريف الثلاثي. So here in this page 23, we have the conjugation of the 3-letter verbs. يفعل, يفعل, يفعلان, يفعلون, تفعل, تفعلان, يفعلن, تفعل, تفعلان, تفعلون, تفعلين, تفعلان, تفعلن, أفعل, نفعل. So just like the past letter, these need to be memorized in order for you to use them. Otherwise you'll be stuck. When you memorize them and with you, wherever you go, they become easy. This is only with a fath on the ayn. The author, he didn't put with the kasra or the dhamma on the ayn, since there's only a small change between the 3. To save space, he only did yaf'alu. Yaf'alu. So if we were to now put a... How long do you have it? Okay. Let's try put some letters on, some verbs on these scales. I'll give you one. You want to try? You want to try? Conjugate a verb. I'll give you يفتح, to open. يفتح. يفتح, then يفتحان. See how he's using the scales. All you're doing is replacing each letter with the letters that you're using. So for example, فتح, يفتح, the fa will replace the ain, and so on. يفتح, يفتحان, يفتحون, تفتح, تفتح, تفتحان, يفتحن, تفتح, تفتحان, تفتحون, تفتحين, تفتحان, تفتحن. You're on the last one. أفتح, نفتح. See how he's done that? Are you all able to do that? If I was to give you a verb, you want to try? Okay, you take let's see what we have. يفعل, يرفع, يرفع. Yes. يرفع.
يرفعان.
يرفعان.
يرفعون.
يرفعون.
ترفع.
ترفع.
ترفعان.
ترفعان. There's no ta there.
يرفعن.
يرفعن.
What was the last?
You want the third one.
Is it ترفع or did you say?
ترفع.
ترفعان.
ترفعان.
ترفعون.
ترفعون.
ترفعين.
ترفعين.
ترفعان.
ترفعان.
ترفعن.
ترفعن.
أرفع.
أرفع.
نفعل.
No, you said نفعل.
نفعل.
نفعل. So do you understand what each box is used for? So if I was to say I'm raising, نرفع. What does يرفعون mean?
يرفعون.
يرفعون. They. Group of them. Okay.
Oh, is it the first table that we took?
Which one?
Is it the first table we took as in like they...
Yeah, this is the same but for present. This is the present version of what we took in the Madi. Next slide. So next page, page 24. Here is the, I hope you've all memorized the pronouns that are detached. Huwa, hum, hunna, anta, antuma, because those are detached. These are the attached. They attach onto verbs, they attach onto nouns, particles, they're very important as well. These are the detached pronouns. So here, sometimes you might see the fa'il, the doer of the action, sometimes the doer of the action is hidden. For example, yaf'alu, the first one, we have yaf'alu. If you can't read this, try zoom in. Yaf'alu. Here is the dhamir, fihi mustatirun taqdiruhu huwa. The dhamir, the pronoun, here is hidden, taqdiruhu huwa. We predict it to mean huwa. Whenever we say yaf'alu, it's predicted to mean huwa. What's huwa? He. Then the other one is taf'alu. Taf'alu comes twice in the scale. Taf'alu comes twice. The dhamir is hidden, taqdiruhu hiya or anta. What does that mean? Hiya, she, wa anta, you, masculine, singular. So taf'alu, if I put the verb on the scale taf'alu, it can mean him, so it can mean she or it can mean you. For example, I'll say anta tadhhabu, you are going. Or I can say hiya tadhhabu, she's going. Then the third one, we have yaf'alu plus ani. Here, alif al-ithnain. What was the meaning? What was the translation of alif al-ithnain? Or what is alif al-ithnain? The jewel, pronoun, alif. That indicates that two are doing the action. As for the noon, don't worry about the noon, that is grammar related. When we move on to Medina book 2, inshallah, that will become clear to us what that noon is for. So that yaf'alu plus the alif means two are doing an action. Then we have the same again, taf'alu plus the alif and noon. Alif al-ithnain comes twice. The way I look at it is when I see the ya, not all the time, but when I see the ya, it's for third person, when I see the ta, it's second. Except when I'm saying taf'alu, which is for anta. Then the fifth one, we have yaf'alu plus waw and noon. Yaf'alu plus waw and noon. Ignore the noon for now. However, the waw is waw al-jama'ah. Who remembers what waw al-jama'ah? Yes, yes. So three or more are doing an action now. Then it comes again, but this time with a ta on taf'alu. So you have yaf'alu plus waw and noon. Then you have taf'alu plus waw and noon. What's the difference between taf'alu or taf'aluna wa yaf'aluna? Yaf'aluna, they are all doing. Taf'aluna, second person, you are all doing. Yadhhabuna, they are all going. Tadhhabuna, you are all going. The only difference here is the harf al-mudari', the ta is dropped and the ya is dropped and the ta is brought. Then we have yaf'alu, what was the sukoon on the So we have yaf'alu, but with a sukoon on the ya, and then we bring a noon, yaf'alna. Noon al-inath. Yaf'alna. The noon is a pronoun. What is that pronoun? Females? 3 or more. It comes again underneath. Taf'alna. Now who can guess the difference between yaf'alna wa taf'alna? Yes, yaf'alna, they are all doing. Women. Taf'alna, second person, you all. Okay? Yadhabna, all the women are leaving. You'll say yadhabna. If you're speaking to them directly, tadhabna, you are all going. Yes, both of them are for 3 or more. One is second, one is third. The one with the ya is third, the one with the ta is second. These are all innate. Okay? Innate. Then we have taf'alina, which is a bit unique. Taf'alina. You are now speaking directly to anti, one singular girl. The ya is the pronoun. The noon is a sign of raf'. If you know grammar, the noon is a sign of raf'. So taf'alina, you speak directly to anti, the girl. You say taf'alina, tadhhabina, you are going. Directly to her. Then the last 2 are easy. Af'alu, there is no pronoun here, but af'alu, the hamza is used for ana. Af'alu, you always use af'alu for ana, the scale, first person. And then the last one, nahnu, naf'alu. Naf'alu is pretty easy. Naf'alu, the noon. In fact, af'alu, naf'alu should be easy. First person should be very easy. No, naf'alu is for nahnu. Naf'alu is for us.
Men and women.
Men and women. Second 2 or 3 or more. Af'alu is for first person, singular. Naf'alu is for 2 or 3 or more. Taf'alina, second person, speaking directly to one woman. Directly to her. Any questions on this so far? Because if you were to go back now, go back to the scale 23, the scale that we looked at, you should recognize each one by now. Because the layout is exactly the same as the others. If you looked at the pronoun or anything, it's always he did, they two did, they all did, then the second one's she did, they two feminine did, they 3 or more feminine did, then the second person you did, you all 3 or more did. Then the fourth one, you did, singular, feminine, you two did, singular, second person, until the end. Okay, so let's try, go to the next slide. What slide are we on? Here. So here we take some examples from the Quran. You should automatically recognize the verbs or the scales. وَيَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ. What scale is that? يفعل. So يفعل, فعل, يفعل also has a meaning. فعل, يفعل has a meaning, even though we use it for the scale. فعل, يفعل means to do something. فعل, يفعل, it means to do something. And it's also a template for a scale. Don't get it mixed up. And in the second example, قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. إني, what is the past tense of أعلم? علم. It means to know. أعلم, I know. ما لا تعلمون, what you all don't know. Okay. So you know here, even though it's not mentioned in the translation, that Allah is speaking to 1, 2 or 3? 3 or more. إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. And la is used to negate present tense, by the way. The ma you negate with past, la you negate with present. قال إني أعلم, Allah said, verily I know, ما لا تعلمون, that which you all do not know. And then in the last example, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون. O you have believed, why do you say that which you do not do? تفعلون. No, when you're talking to a group of males, you can, if you have 1 man and 3 women, you can use the masculine like that. Okay. Or yeah, amanu, here we're speaking to the believing male and the believing woman, all of them. لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. And the next one. So we'll take some examples from the ahadith. The first examples that I could find for all of them seem to have دَخَلَ يَدْخُلُ. That's all we're taking really. So the first one, لا تدخل الملائكة بيتا فيه كلب أو صورة. You can try to translate that. لا تدخل.
You don't enter.
لا, no, that yeah, you don't enter, صح? But if a word is feminine, you can also use تدخل. The angels, al-malaikatu, do not enter. The angels do not enter a house which has in it a kalb, a dog, or surah, a picture. لا تدخلوا. They do not enter. On a scale? أفعلوا. Wrong. Taf. You both said أفعلوا, he said عُلو. He's right. تفعلوا. Look at the kha. The kha is in place of the ain. تفعلوا. Okay. And the next hadith, لا يدخلوا. What's the difference between تدخلوا and يدخلوا? Because in the first example we have لا تدخلوا, and the second one لا يدخلوا. لا يدخلوا here is a third person he. الجنة النمام. The one that spreads gossip does not enter or will not enter Jannah. يدخلوا because it's a he. He will not enter. And in the last one we have the hadith of Uthman radiallahu anhu. من مات وهو يعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة. We have a past tense as well. دخل. What was the scale for that? فعل. Okay, here what we need is يعلم. What is يعلم? So whoever dies, مات. This will come in Sarf book 2. مات is he died. Whosoever dies whilst knowing يعلم. Whilst he knows أنه لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة. He will enter Jannah. Okay. So if you go to the last slide of the book that we have here. Here, do you remember this table that I gave you in the third lesson? I just copied and pasted. This is how you should have your daftar, your notebook. You have the madi on one side. Those should be memorized by now. ذهب, أكل, كتب, علم, حفظ, فهم. Then you have on the next row or column, you have the present tense forms. So ذهب, its present tense is يذهب. أكل, its present tense is يأكل. كتب, يكتب. علم, يعلم. حفظ, يحفظ. فهم, يفهم. It should all be in your head. You should all have it memorized. After I give it to you, then you don't need to look into a dictionary again. I did all of those without using a dictionary. Pardon?
Would you use a dictionary? Using notes, you highlight and you look it up? Or?
Yes, that's the way, the iPhone way, you just type the word and then you highlight, you go look up. But the old school way is to use the book. Use the book. So if you were to use the dictionary, the old school way, you just look at the root words, root letters. يذهب, what's the root? What do you search for يذهب? The, ha and ba. You don't use the ya, because that's not the root, is it? So that's how you do it. So memorize them together. ذهب يذهب, أكل يأكل, كتب يكتب. It will become stuck in your head, بإذن الله. It will just stop there.